to company A. Okay, is recorded now. So we have limited time. This invoice that was assigned to company A, you know, we are seeing the entry or the existence of that asset in company B. So it's questionable. So all these are evidence that can be gotten depending on what we are testing. Reliability of the audit evidence, we said the external source is more reliable than internal ones. Just like I said, you can't rely on what management has given to you. You must also do your due diligence and find out this sufficient evidences that backs up the auditor's opinion. Then most especially when the internal control is weak. Yes. So audit evidence is directly obtained by the auditor himself is more reliable and in fact, okay, yeah, because he must carry out his work with professional competence and due care. Okay, so audit evidence is reliable when it exists in documentary form than oral. So I've said it. If it's not documented, it's not done. Original documents are more reliable than photocopies. Okay, so we look at the audit testing procedure. We might not be able to finish this, but we'll continue just like we did for the last class with the last topic. But I'll try as much as possible to look at it. So we look at this is the methods of obtaining audit evidence. Method of obtaining audit evidence. We talk about the first one we said is, please, I want somebody to read what you can see there. Let me know that we are together.
Audit testing procedures. This is
Yes,
also
read it.
I'm reading. This is also referred to as a method of obtaining audit evidence for substantive testing. As described in the earlier chapter, they are analytical, inquiry, inspection, observation, third-party confirmation, the calculation, the performance of control, and the next is audit sampling. The objective here is to give the auditor a reasonable basis for his conclusion about the population from which the sample is drawn.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chidima. Thank you, ma. So the audit test procedure, you know that we said that these test areas, be it substantive test or test of control, is aimed at generating the audit evidence. These are the areas where the auditor will generate his audit evidence. Number one, we look at analytical. Now, when you say analytical, we are comparing now the financial statement according to IS1 presentation. We said that your financial statement are to be presented in comparative. When you look at every financial statement, you see that it is in comparative. In 2 years, if you are reporting 2023, you must report the prior year, 2022. Now, why is that necessary? Is because of comparative. For you to run your comparative analysis, this is what analytical is all about. So when you are carrying out analytical procedure, you are simply comparing the performance of 2 years. And when you compare performance of 2 years, you will see changes. You see your changes in value, naira value. You see it in percentage. You remember that's one of the things you do in ratio analysis. You are analyzing profitability, liquidity, efficiency, long-term solvency, and the rest. So, but in the case of auditing now, you are using it to observe trend. You are using it to observe the difference. Okay, so we said comparing last year's, for example, comparing last year's gross profit to this year and ensuring changes are in line with expectation. So if you are to, for example, now, if we are to do a analytical revenue comparison, maybe you are to, as an auditor now, you are to report or give a, you have to explain what has happened. You have to compare, you have to interpret the financial statement. Let me just use that. One thing you can do is to look at revenue and do a analytical procedure. If you have budgeted, if for example, the company know what they are doing, they have budgeted sales for the period, they have budgeted sales. And so if the results of this current year is way side to side with what is budgeted, then they can now be able to see, have they performed up to expectation? Have they performed below expectation? That is analytical. You are comparing 2 years. In this case, not 2 years, you are comparing the result with the targeted performance. Okay, so I just said that to let you know that sometimes it might not only be 2 years, power years. It can also be you are comparing actual results with what has been budgeted. Okay, so not only in revenue, in different line items in the financial statement, even if it's admin expense or cost of sales, you are looking at what did we do now? How much did we spend now compared to last year? Is it consistent with the increase or decrease in revenue? If we did lower cost this year, it should translate to our revenue, that okay, the revenue might decrease slightly. If it were increased cost, it means that probably we have increased our operation and led to more cost. It should translate to revenue. Or you should see maybe it is an unsold inventory that has not been made. You should see the effect on your inventory. Or if it's sold, you must see the corresponding effect on your revenue. So all this helps you to interpret. Analytical helps you to interpret the financial statement and helps you to get audit evidence. By the time you discover a trend, you discover unusual fluctuation, you begin to ask, what actually happened? Okay, for example, maybe this year you had more cost of electricity. Okay, fine, we can know that in Nigeria now, electricity increases on a year-on-year basis. In fact, 3 or 4 times in a year. That one is justifiable. You can say, okay, it's linked to this year. But when you discover for maybe a compliance expense gel, and you discover that this year it was 3 million and next year it was 20 million, that is an unusual trend. You now go and look at it. What actually happened? From there, you can begin to now discover what was done right and what was not done right. Okay, for example, let me use in this case audit now. Audit fee now. Last year it was 4 million. This year now they are increasing it to 8 million. What actually happened? They posted 8 million this year. What actually happened? Okay, was it that the auditor increased their fee? What measure were taken to 4 to 8 million is too much? What measure were taken? What did they do that they did not do right? Did the auditor spend more hours, in auditing this time than they did last time? Why was there a delay? Why did we not attend to them on time for them to add to the audit fee? All these things are what will now become evidence where maybe the finance department miss it, or where they. So in audit evidence, this is one other key area. So that is analytical. Analytical has to do with evaluating and comparing financial and non-financial data to identify relationship and investigating unexpected fluctuation. I believe I've done justice to that. Then we go to inquiry. Of course, inquiry means asking questions. As an auditor, you must ask questions. What happened? What actually happened here? You must inquire. Seek information from knowledgeable persons within and outside the entity. Evaluate the responses and those of those inquiry. Corroborate responses with other audit evidence. So you must be able to match this with this. So that's inquiry. Whatever you are testing, whatever you are reviewing, you must ask questions. Who prepared this? Who did this? Who did that? Where did this come from? Where did that come from? It's part of the test procedure for you to obtain your evidences. Then inspection. For example, you are to inspect assets, non-current assets, tangible assets. You are to inspect accounting entries. You are to inspect documents. This is what? You are to inspect. You have to inspect processes. You have to observe processes. You have to observe processes. But when you are talking about processes has to do with timeline. There are timeline when certain things happen. There are timeline when maybe you have to observe a process of a loading, loading or offloading. It has to do with time. You have to observe process whereby they come to deliver goods to the company. It has to do with time. So that's observation. Then third party confirmation, of course, sending external confirmation to maybe banks, sending confirmation to suppliers, creditors, sending solicitors and the likes. So it's part of test procedure. Then recalculation, just like I said, the auditor has to calculate and recalculate what has been done to ensure that there is no misstatement, there is no inaccuracy, and everything is what is accurately done. Then the performance of control. So this okay. Okay, let's just stop here so that by the time we meet next week, we just go into audit sampling. Then I share the chapter 7. So what I want us to do is to go back. Let's go back. Let's read through. Mm, let's read through. Please, I want us to cover this chapter before we meet again. It's just talking about many of what is here. I've already explained it in the course of my explanation. So we're talking about the audit sampling. Why it's necessary? Because the auditor cannot review the whole population. He has to review samples. So he selects samples. Even at the sample, there is sampling risks that what he has selected, he might not be able to achieve, to draw a conclusion from the samples he has selected. I spoke about analytical procedure. In this case, they have already said it here. You are comparing power year data. You are comparing budget and forecast. Just like I said, that budget there is the budgeted figure. Then industrial average. So you see, they're very straightforward. The use of the analytical procedure. You use it in both the planning stage, substantive stage. So even before you go into planning, you get the TB. From the TB, you can begin to understand where the audit is heading to. So, and the overall review stage. So then audit documentation. How do you document audit evidence? You see it there. Then the reasons why you need to document. Of course, you need reasons why you need to document properly. Then the types of audit documents, types of audit files, the permanent file and the current file, what are composed in each of them. You see it there. So I think who are in the custody of the working papers, who is this supposed to be with? And what is the ISQC on quality control, the international standard on quality control, ISQC 1? What does it state about the audit working paper? I think that is what ends it. But please, I want you to also look at the pack. I'll also look at it. I've looked at it before, but I think I'll bring some things from that pack so that we can share in the course of the class. So please play your hands. Nobody has brought past question. Nobody has brought past question or any question that you have come across. Or are we too busy?
Sir, we're looking at possibly you bringing it, but since you've mentioned that, maybe in the next class we'll be sharing past questions, sir.
No problem. I will also bring, but sometimes, our work, sometimes it can be very busy, but that's not an excuse. I will make sure that I pick from the chapter 1 to 6 that we have done so far. I will bring questions so that we can refresh our memories and know the modality of these questions and see how we can be in a good stead even as the exam approach. So please, we have limited time. Why I'm just is because of the time. We are in chapter 7 as we still have some other areas. The chapter 7 is on internal. We are going to the next chapter rather is on internal controls. Is on internal controls. So let's see what internal controls are there to do in an organization. Okay, so let's call this class to an end. let's call the class to an end. So please, I want you to keep on reading. Please go and revise, and revise. Your note is very important. Some of the reference material I have today that I'm even using for this class is my notes that I used in my Ican class. Yeah. So my own notes were so rich that even my lecturers would tell the students, go and meet Christian. His note is complete. Go and write from him. So please, your note is very, very important. The Ican syllabus has not changed. What was used then is what is still used now. So you can always use it as a reference material. The pack is there, but sometimes the little or one or two additions that the lecturer will make, you might not see it in your pack, that you can always make reference to and remember what was actually said at that time. Okay, so let's call it a day. I wish you a happy new year, happy new month rather, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Do we have any questions? If we have questions, let's put it on the chat. Let's put it on the chat box. I will attend to the questions there because of the time. I need to go to another meeting. You can drop it on the chat and we will continue the discussion there. Okay, thank you so much. We'll meet again next week. All right.
Thank you, sir. Please, the material, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please just drop it on chat so that I remember everything you need. Just drop it on chat. I even have some other ones that I'm supposed to share last week. I need to share them, especially those on the regulatory requirements based on the industry by industry. And I also did another one for what's that one now? So, but I will share them. At least they are useful reference material.
Sample of engagement letter.
Exactly. Please just remind me as you are working. That's how me too I'm working too. And my own work is I don't want to say much, but please, you know what I'm talking about. So, but please, if you remind me, I have it on chat before the next day's
No problem.
activity.
We'll
I
send
can.
reminder, sir.
Please, sir. Please, sir. Thank you so much. All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, sir.
Bye.
Good night.
We thank God. Good night. Yes.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
All right, sir. Good night. Yeah.